Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Cyber PMM podcast, the only show dedicated to helping cyber PMMs fight digital chaos, cut through the hype, and do more with less. Let's dive in. Hey everyone, this is Dane, and we are kicking off Cyber PMM Season 3. This is the first episode in what is going to be a very engaging series around a concept that I picked up by reading a book called Team of Teams. It was formed by General Stanley McChrystal, and it's a really interesting concept that I think can apply to product marketing. We have to work with people. It's all about teams. And there's a lot of content out there where I see thought leaders that are saying product marketing is at the center and we are the chief marketer across all of these different teams and everybody should bow down to product marketing. And that's just not the case. We are part of a team. And that's why I love this concept by General McChrystal, because he really brings an aspect of breaking down organizational hierarchies and not looking at things in terms of a pyramid, but as a living network. Because in today's organizations, whether you're an 80,000 person organization like I'm a part of, or even a small startup now, which is being surrounded by agentic AI teams, we have to learn how to interoperate in this living network is the term that I like to use. So how do you go about that? How do you build a team of teams, or how do you participate in one? You don't actually need authority to do this. So that's the other thing that I see a misconception around, is that in order to be a leader or to advance in your career, you have to have 30 direct reports. And that's just not the case. I've been a part of, over the past 12 and a half years or so going at this, I've never had a direct report, but I've led cross-functional projects because I've worked at big companies. Even when I was at a startup, there were still agencies or other functions within the business or product and engineering. You're never really alone. Sometimes you are. And if you're running a one-person shop, you're still going to need to collaborate with your clients or people that work at your clients, right? So this whole concept of the lone wolf or the hero as a PMM riding it alone into the sunset just isn't going to cut it anymore. We have to work in teams. And one of the best analogies for this that is relevant to this topic is, if anybody here is a basketball fan, if you look at the 1980s Bulls, they drafted Michael Jordan straight from University of North Carolina. And if you ever watch the documentary The Last Dance, this really comes to life, because you saw how Phil Jackson wasn't the coach initially. The coach before Phil Jackson was all about pumping up Michael's stats. And sure, he was like the highest scoring player in the league, and it was great for his stat sheet, but he wasn't winning championships. They were getting smoked by the Detroit Pistons, which were a much more physical team. They were just a better team. And so the Pistons won a few championships, and the Bulls were struggling. Had the best player on the planet, probably of all time, on their team, and yet they were losing. And why was that? They didn't have a team. They didn't have a system in place. And then Phil Jackson comes in and he implements a system called the triangle offense. And in this system, there was a interdependence. There was a web, a network effect within the team where everybody depended on each other, and there was constant movement around the court. And Michael Jordan, his stats went down, his points went down, but they started winning championships. And that was the whole point of why I love that analogy for this, is because teams win championships, all-stars win scoring titles. I wanted to dispel the myth. I often see these graphics where there's like product marketing's at the center and everything goes through us. And we have to stop with that, because we are not some authority in the business that everybody listens to and, that we command all these other teams. It's just not how it works. In most cases, we're independent contributors and we don't have any authority at all. We don't even control the budget. We just have influence through our ability to observe the market and trends that are happening and bring those perspectives about our ideal customer profiles and target market segments, and really understanding the market and bringing that to the table where a better strategy is formed for the business. And that's why, yes, we are often considered as part of that leadership cohort within the business, because we're bringing in information and data about our prospects and customers that's going to help us grow as a business. So we're just more at the front end of that conversation, but that doesn't by any means mean that we are at the center or at the top of some pyramid. That's just our role. Our role is to bring strategic direction into go-to-market decisions. And that is most reflected in our ability to drive messaging, right? So if we have our ICP defined, we can then bring a narrative to that audience and use all of our messaging skills, which isn't the topic of this series. Core functions and how to build messaging, all of that is done in other Cyber PMM episodes, and it's all that content is going to be covered elsewhere. We really want to focus on the creation of a team of teams and what it means for product marketing to collaborate across all of these different functions. And increasingly, how do we collaborate across teams of agents? Last season, we dove a lot into AI and automation and agents and how to launch products, how to look at the new model of buyers using LLMs more, and interviewed a bunch of industry voices from Chase Cunningham, Dr. Zero Trust, to Ani Gaudaparthi, the co-founder of Hindsight, who is building an AI agent for competitive intelligence. So that there are companies working actively on building agentic AI capabilities to add these roles as part of your team. And that's basically what's happening, not just for competitive intelligence, like Ani's doing a great job at, but everything else that we do as product marketers. Believe me, there will be an agentic AI component probably this year for all of it. There's a mad rush right now. There's a gold rush happening about all these different startups. So it's only a matter of time before our workflows, and even Google and Microsoft's releases this week at their keynotes. I think Microsoft created this product called Create, and it's about the ability to just create videos from PowerPoints. And then Google launches their VO models, which is about video creation as well. And the capabilities that are increasingly becoming generally available, these aren't just previews. They're announcing this is GA. And so these are going to be put into the hands of every product marketer on the planet. So I'm really excited about all of this. But the question will become, it's not going to be a problem of advancing our capabilities and tooling. It's going to be, how do we collaborate across complex webs of teams and not step on each other's toes, right? Because dumb teams step on each other's toes. You can't have two basketball players driving at the same time. You can't have them fighting over rebounds and tripping over each other on the court. It just looks sloppy, right? So as teams, you have to be interdependent, but also know what everybody's role is, even if an agent is performing something, right? And all of those factors, I think, are going to become the new name of the game, and that is orchestrating these teams. So first of all, we have to back up. What is team of teams anyway? And where did that concept come from? It's not from my brain, I'll tell you that much. It's from General Stanley McChrystal, who built this model by observing the complexities of when he was fighting Al-Qaeda in Iraq, and how there was a need for better information flow to enable and decentralize command and enable front of the line decision making, because you can't call in, should we cross that river and take that hill or whatever. That's a terrible military lingo, I know, but whatever that is, you can't call it back in for authorization all the time. You have to have the capability as a decentralized team to adapt. And so that's one of the core ideas of his book, is that org charts fail in complex environments. You don't win by being efficient. You win by being adaptable, because adaptability beats efficiency. Old systems like prior military models that he was facing, and for those of us that work within the business world, old systems, antiquated technologies that were made for stability, that were very rigid, especially in cybersecurity, where things shift on a daily basis. We don't need hierarchy. We need the ability to move fluidly, right? And so that's the second concept of team of teams, and that is called a shared consciousness. And I know that sounds far-fetched or whatever, but it's the fact that everyone has access to real-time context, not just executives. There's no privileged information flows. It's the ability to transfer critical information so that smaller teams around the org can act without waiting for approvals. And that's going to be the type of organization that wins in the modern AI era. The third concept in team of teams is that trust scales, not control. So you can't lead with bottlenecks. You align around a mission, and then you let the team figure out the how. So as a leader in an organization, your job isn't to execute on all the details, but it's about defining that mission so that all these smaller teams that are around it, and even agents now, can figure out the how. And finally, the fourth main concept of team of teams is building networks over pyramids. So there's no more rigid hierarchies in effective orgs, just dynamic networks of people solving real problems in real time. So this isn't just a leadership concept. I think this is going to be the product marketer's survival kit moving forward. And here's the twist. Teams don't just mean people anymore. Your org might be 4 humans managing 5 agents each. So that's 20 team members if you look at it that way. Or you've got content agents writing blog drafts while you have a research agent summarizing consumer behavior and a competitive agent scanning the market while you sleep. So all of these agents are actually part of your team. And they still need clear objectives, defined inputs and outputs, mutual accountability, right? And just because one of your team members isn't an LLM doesn't mean orchestration goes out the window. In fact, it matters even more. So you're not just managing people now, you're managing systems. It's not about who reports to you, it's about the system that you're building. Maybe because I played a lot of sports growing up, like football, where I was on a team of 10 others and we all had to play together on a field. I've just always understood that I was always one part of a team. And that means knowing when to lead. Sometimes you have to step up. Sometimes you have to be the first person to make a play. But other times you have to pass the ball because you're surrounded. It's good timing because the NBA playoffs are happening right now, and anybody that's paying attention is seeing that it's not the teams that have the MVP like Nikola Jokic, which is my favorite team, that are winning. It's the teams that are getting that ball moved around, and they have bench players that are coming off the bench like Oklahoma City does with Anthony Caruso. And so they're passing it around and they're spreading those points around. Because you can attack, okay, I'm not going to get into a basketball rant. So some tactical tips as well. First, communicate relentlessly. Don't hinge your product on a single meeting. You have to share updates often, use Slack like a command center, work in public, tag owners, build shared visibility. All of those things are musts, especially in the remote world. You have to calendar ruthlessly, block time, decline distractions, prioritize execution, say no with grace. Not everything is yours to carry. If you're invited to a call that has 12 to 15 people on it, odds are you don't have to be there. And especially when there's no objective in the invite, those are automatically declined. And then acting with urgency. There shouldn't be any vague delays that kill momentum, especially on your behalf. And these are things that I'll probably cover in another series on productivity, but they are a really critical part of being a good teammate. To close it out, here's what season 3 is going to cover. We're going to go team by team. Every function that PMMs work with, from campaigns, demand gen, web and digital, brand and creative, content marketing, solutions and technical marketing, field marketing, growth marketing, analyst relations, competitive intelligence, all of these different functions, whether they're agents or people. And I'll break down how to collaborate, reduce friction, deliver faster, and bring you real tactics, frameworks for aligning templates you can use, field-tested stories of my own experiences, just to remind you you're not alone. So here we go. Let's build your team of teams. I'm excited for this series. Remember to subscribe on LinkedIn or Substack. You can listen to this on Spotify or Apple as well. And be sure to follow Cyber PMM on Instagram, X, and LinkedIn. And let's go. Season 3 is now live and the teams are forming. All right. Thanks, everyone. Well, that does it for this episode of the Cyber PMM podcast. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe, leave a comment or review, and let's connect on LinkedIn. Be sure to check out cyberpmm.com for more resources. And you can also subscribe to the Cyber PMM newsletter on Substack and LinkedIn to keep up to speed with everything you need to fight digital chaos, cut through the hype, and do more with less. See you next time.